Hello and welcome to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. I'm Wes Decker. Welcome to the show. We've got a whirlwind presentation for you today. Plenty of football, all of Week 8's action, including a couple of Clear Spring Blazers here to talk about their victory. And we get down to brass tacks on soccer. The postseason is ahead of us. Herald Mail insider Kevin Dunleavy here to help me with that. But we start with that football, and Bob Parsalitti of the Herald Mail joins me in just a moment.
When your family is hurting, you don't have time to wait. Act now. Visit Meritus Urgent Care on Pennsylvania Avenue. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Meritus Urgent Care treats minor conditions like earaches, sore throats, and sprains. Meritus Urgent Care also offers x-rays and sports physicals, and many prescriptions are filled on site. Located off Interstate 81 on Pennsylvania Avenue, visit Meritus Urgent Care. Expert care, close to home.
One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm Premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with football now, and joining me for that is Herald Mail insider Bob Parsalitti. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thanks. Let's
start with the North Hagerstown Hubs. We haven't been able to say that for a while. The Hubs finally get that monkey off their back. The long losing streak is history. A 42-14 win over Frederick on Friday night. A blocked punt that resulted in the game's first score just a minute 27 in, lit the fuse, and the Hubs offense became an explosive powder keg after that, reeling off 27 points over a 14.5-minute span, bridging the first and second quarters en route to a 35-0 halftime advantage. I don't know if I quite saw that type of breakout coming, but certainly nice to see North Hagerstown get the win and Coach Greg Staines.
Well, I was talking to Greg the other day. He was talking about that the big thing was they got on top for once. He said that the minute that they got on top, all of a sudden you could see the kids just like, this doesn't usually happen, you know, and they started feeding into it. He said that at halftime they were ahead, and there was like still 6 minutes on the clock before the second half, and these kids were strapping up, getting ready to run down, and he's saying, sit down, take it easy, guys. We've got a few minutes, because they really wanted to get back out there because things were going so well.
and an historically incredible outing by Benny Barnes at quarterback, the sophomore, 10 for 17, no interceptions, 148 yards, 4 touchdown passes, putting him among the North Hagerstown elite in school history in that category in one game. And North Hagerstown finally able to limit its penalties, win the turnover battle, and was remarkably efficient on third down, 6 for 12 there, and perfect on fourth down, 4 for 4, never punting in the game. And now it's on to vanquish an 8-game home losing streak, and they'll get 6-2 Winters Mill coming up on Friday.
And Benny joins Logan Kelso and Robbie Thompson in that category you were talking about. Thompson, I think, Kelso threw for 5 touchdowns in the game, and Thompson threw for 4 once before.
Yeah, so pretty impressive there for a sophomore. Boonesboro beats up on Manchester Valley 35-0. The only undefeated team in all of the 1A classification remains that way at the expense of what was at the time was a fellow region leader by making its own brand of history. 4 straight shutouts. You saw that game, Bob, and boy, I don't think we expected it to end up quite the way that it played out.
No, I think this was looked at as one of the big tests for Boonesboro in this case, and I really think they came out and they said they were going to win, and that was it. I mean, they came out more inspired, it looked like, than Manchester Valley, and the defense really put it to Manchester Valley. I mean, first couple of plays, they got to the quarterback a couple times. All of a sudden, he's going for the snap a little further back in the formation, and it got to the point where Keegan Bowles made sure nobody wanted to catch the ball because every time he went up, there was a helmet in the ribs. So I mean, they really, really beat them down, and then the offense was so diverse again, 5 different guys scoring.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, Manchester Valley coming in averaging 4 touchdowns per game. Not only did they get shut out, but the Warriors forcing 3 turnovers, a sensational one-handed interception by Alex Wetzel, who had 2 picks in the game. So Boonesboro goes for its 5th straight shutout coming up on Friday against Northern Garrett, a 5-3 team. And despite remaining unbeaten, though, Boonesboro slips in the playoff point standings behind Fort Hill into that number 2 slot, and I know that's not where they want to be.
No, they want to have the home field all the way through. I think they're just a victim of circumstances because of Fort Hill beating 3A South Hagerstown and 4A Sharando. That's a lot of bonus points.
And Fort Hill doing it very impressively this past week, coming from 14 down to beat Sharando in that one. South Hagerstown all over Williamsport, 54-7. Wildcats claimed the game's initial highlight and score on a Matt Malfers to Connor Thomas touchdown pass, but the game's next 46 minutes and 3 seconds belonged exclusively to the Rebels on homecoming. South roared back to take a 21-7 lead at the end of the first period, and 41-7 was the score by halftime. TJ Peer, who was our Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week, threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 2 as the Rebels won their 6th in succession over the Cats. And Peer was on point after a game a week ago where there were a lot of drop passes, a lot of things didn't go right. Thought that was a big bounce back, so we make him our Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week.
Well, I think what was really big about it was that he scored the first 2 touchdowns after Williamsport's touchdown, and he's becoming like their second running option, and he kind of got them on point a little bit, and then he started throwing the ball. The other thing that's big about South is they get a touchdown with everything outside of the Fort Hill game for about the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, at least either a defensive or a special teams touchdown to help them out. And they got another one with a 62-yard punt return by McCoy Dutrow.
Yeah, they just played well in every facet of the game. Again, turning around from the previous week in a game that they really wanted. South now 5-3. They'll get 6-2 Jefferson on senior night coming up on Friday. Williamsport drops to 3-5 and now 0-4 on the road this season, and they'll try to snap that at Smithsburg this Friday. The Lepers lost to Havre de Grace 17-3. They mustered just a Bobby Fink field goal on a night where their turnover total surpassed their scoring output. And speaking of turnovers, Smithsburg defensive back Cole Huntsberry increased his county-leading interception number to 8 with his second quarter interception. It was a win, though, that Smithsburg really wanted to get. I mean, they want to get themselves right into at least that number 4 slot in the 1A West standings. Still behind Northern Garrett right now, but things can bunch up. Things can change here down the stretch for sure. But that could be a game that Smithsburg looks back on and says that's one that would have changed the tide.
Just looking at the story and what I know is it looks like Havre de Grace did a job of trying to take Joey Schwartz out of the game. He had virtually nothing stat-wise, and then they took a page out of Smithsburg by taking the turnovers and scoring, and that was the difference.
Smithsburg at least will determine their fate in terms of whether they win or lose those last 2 games at home, so they'll be on their home turf. And coming up this week, as I said, they get Williamsport. Hancock beat up on Massanutten Military Academy 36-6. Entering Friday evening, Panther running back Jake Reed had scored 7 touchdowns in 7 games. By the time the senior exited Week 8's Hancock victory, Reed had 12 touchdowns to his name, so clearly a big night for him as he ran for 4 scores and added a reception for a 5th as the Panthers improved to 5-3 with 2-6 friends on deck on Saturday. So Hancock, a team right now 7th in those 1A point standings. Looks like the playoffs not in the offing, but still could wind up with at least a 500 record, if not better, before this season is over.
Well, Massanutten probably celebrating because that was only their 2nd touchdown of the year when they get that 6, so that was probably a big deal for them. That was enough.
Well, and that's all they could do against that Hancock team. Again, Hancock, a squad this year that when they've won, it's usually been by a pretty wide margin.
And it's defense and running is their game.
Right, and we talked about, I mean, that's how it's played out. We talked about it before the season, and that's certainly how it's gone. Flint Hill defeated St. James 38-21. 10th straight win by the Huskies over the Saints. 2 Tyler Raymond touchdown passes and a Raymond TD run weren't enough to overcome a 4-touchdown deficit as the Saints lost their 3rd game in a row. And their leading rusher, John Mechie, went down in the 4th quarter in that game, too, with a leg injury that kept him out the rest of the way. So for St. James now, 3 straight losses. Boy, they were on the brink of getting that 2nd win in the MAC for the first time since 2010, several games ago. And now, as Coach Rutt pointed out, I mean, we're playing much bigger schools, but just the points that they're able to put up, you think that they can be in every game, but keep digging themselves holes?
Well, they have slow starts usually in the first half and put themselves on hold there. And I think that, personally, I think they may be wearing down. They have a lot of underclassmen that haven't been through the wars before, and I think they're starting to feel the wear and tear of a season now, and it's getting to be the end.
And St. James takes what is now a 3-5 record into this Saturday's final road game at 4-3 Sidwell Friends. So again, an opportunity to get that second win in the conference. Bob, that's a look at Week 8's football. Thank you as always.
Thanks for having me on.
See you back next week, and I'll see you right after this with a couple of the Clear Spring Blazers. Talk about their win over Southern Garrett in just a moment.
Yeah, how can we help you today?
I really need to get back to work.
Whether it's going back to work or getting back on the golf course, Total Rehab Care maximizes every patient's individual potential, offering state-of-the-art rehab, including physical, occupational, and speech therapy, all in one location. Experts who take a personal interest in their patients' progress. Call or visit online for more information. Meritus Health, treating the community well.
Welcome back to the show. We continue now with a couple of Clear Spring Blazers off a victory on Friday over Southern Garrett 40-14. Joey Fisher and Joe McCoy are here. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little about that game on Friday. Joe, let me start with you. It was a first half where you scored 2 touchdowns. That was the positive part of it, but you're down by a point at halftime. Just how frustrating was that?
It was very frustrating. Going into halftime, we really wanted to change the game because it shouldn't have been close. But after halftime, we wanted to come out strong and run the ball and get the ball, play moving.
And Joey, what made the difference in the second half? You shut them out 27-0 in the second half. Really a dominant performance.
It was more of like the pep talk at halftime. Like the players, got into it. We were, getting fired up because on the way up, the bus ride was kind of long. So I think, put us in that predicament, in the first half. But, at halftime, we, had a big old pep talk, and we came out and actually, did what we were supposed to do and got the ball down the field and scored.
And time of possession was huge in the second half. He ran 20 more plays than Southern Garrett did in the third and fourth quarters and wasted no time retaking that lead just 1:18 in. Colin Wilhite with a touchdown pass to Colton Aaron. And then Wilhite would run for another score on the next possession. And then, Joe, you kind of closed out the victory. 16th and 17th touchdown runs of the season already. Can you put that into a little bit of perspective? Because you had 17 all of last year in what was a tremendous sophomore season. And here in the junior year, I mean, you're going well above what you did last year.
Yeah, I really wanted to surpass my goal of last year. So I'm heading for 20 touchdowns, trying to get a whole bunch of yards. And it's really not just me, it's also Joey and the line that's really helping me out this year.
Joey, talk about that a little bit because you took over at center, a position you didn't think you were going to play before the season started. Then all of a sudden you're the center, but you're a pulling center. I mean, you're out in front of this guy almost on every play.
Yeah, it's something new, definitely. When I first went at center, I was kind of iffy about like what to do, but it's fun pulling out in front of Joe, letting him rack up the yards, rack up his touchdowns, like let him meet his milestones. But like with me pulling on the outside, it's just perfect because it's just us two. With me being so big and fast, it's just we can just hit kids and keep rolling.
And that's about as simple as it gets, and that's the way you've been able to execute that. 1,476 yards rushing for Joe. How much pride do you take in that?
I take, it's about 50-50 between me and him is the way I split it. It's not just me all the time, letting him get the yards. He's also running down the field, breaking tackles, carrying kids 10 yards on his back. So, it's definitely split half and half.
And I mentioned that in the game we did earlier this year, Joe, when I talked to you last year. You were here, you said, I don't want to let one guy bring me down.
Yeah.
And that is the style that you continue to exhibit out there. And right now, averaging almost 185 yards per game on the ground, 110 points scored, 61% of the offense. It just doesn't get much more impressive than that. And on the topic of impressive, Joe, of course, everyone knows your story by now, having secured a scholarship to the University of Maryland next year. And with this being your senior season, you're getting to line up at a lot of different spots on defense. Just how much fun is that?
Yeah, it's definitely a privilege. Coach Bathgate, has kind of put it in my hands along with, his hands of moving around. I try to be in the play everywhere I can. So, I know teams, kind of, base their offense off of me, so I tend to move around and try to get in the play, as much as I can.
And you had 8 tackles and a sack and a half in that Southern Garrett game, and 3rd on the team in tackles. So you're overcoming the fact that you kind of have that target on your back.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had some off games in the beginning. And the team kind of brought me up. So like the past couple games, I've been kind of stepping up my game, and it's just how it's been going.
5-3 right now, sitting 6th in the 1A playoff point standings. Big game coming up on Friday against East Hardy, the final home game of the season. Best of luck in that, guys, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
When I come back, playoff soccer. Kevin Dunleavy joins me to talk about the girls bracket in just a moment.
When your family is hurting, you don't have time to wait. Act now. Visit Meritus Urgent Care on Pennsylvania Avenue. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Meritus Urgent Care treats minor conditions like earaches, sore throats, and sprains. Meritus Urgent Care also offers x-rays and sports physicals, and many prescriptions are filled on site. Located off Interstate 81 on Pennsylvania Avenue, visit Meritus Urgent Care. Expert care, close to home.
One, wanna be one. Number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one. Number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier martial arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick. You feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with soccer now. The postseason is upon us, and joining me to talk about it, Herald Mail insider Kevin Dunleavy. Welcome back to the show,
Thank
Kevin.
you, Wes.
Let's begin with the girls and the draws for our county teams. We'll start in 1A West, where the Smithsburg Leopards are the number 1 seed, and Smithsburg will get Williamsport, the number 4 seed in the opening round in 1A West, which is actually the quarterfinal round, which starts next Tuesday. So this draw for Smithsburg presents them with a team that they've gone 2-1 against so far this season.
Yeah, but it's no cakewalk. Williamsport has slumped lately, but they've had some injuries. They're going to get some girls back, most notably Taylor Neff will be back, their top scorer, and they can be dangerous against Smithsburg. That's not something I'd feel real confident about if I was the Leopards right now.
The Leopards 11-2-1 coming in, and they're only giving up 0.86 goals per contest. And last year, certainly that was a team that was built on not allowing goals. They've been able to score more this season. As you said, Williamsport's been scuffling a bit lately, but this is almost like a return to the county tournament here in this 1A West breakdown. So you think Williamsport will provide some sort of resistance here for Smithsburg in this opening game?
Yeah, knowing it's their do or die moment, and they reached the county finals and played Smithsburg, and they were tough, gave them a pretty good game. So it's it's doable. This is no cakewalk for Smithsburg at all, and if they get through the next round, they'll probably have another really tough opponent.
Yeah, no question about it. And nothing refocuses a team like knowing that this is it potentially. So the playoffs are here for sure. The other matchup there in Section 2 in the quarterfinal round, the 2 seed in Boonesboro taking on the number 3 seed in Clear Spring. And it's an 8-4-2 Boonesboro team, but boy, the records looked a lot better of late. They have fared much better in recent going.
Yeah, they've played unbelievable defense. They haven't given up a goal in regulation in their last 8 games. They've gone 6-1-1. They tied Smithsburg last week, and they lost to North in overtime, 1-0. So they're right there with the best teams in the county. Chris Lance has done a fantastic job, bringing along an inexperienced team with a lot of new parts, and they've had some injuries. They've overcome that too. So they're, it's a game. Smithsburg, if they played Boonesboro, it would be one that they wouldn't feel real confident about, I don't think, because weren't able to score against them last week.
And Clear Spring, a team this season that's surprised me a little bit to be
They have.
6-7-1 because they've had such a thin roster all
Yeah.
season long.
Yeah, they've had to bring up girls from the JV. They've had all kinds of calamities with injuries, but they've made the most of this season. 6-7-1 is amazing for what they've had. They beat St. James, a real good private school team, and they've won all the winnable games that they could win. But they played Boonesboro in the regular season, lost to them 6-0. So it's going to be really tough for them to compete with a team that's as hot as Boonesboro is now.
But again, the motivation will certainly be there, and we'll see how it all plays out next Tuesday. That's in 1A West. By the way, over in Section 1, Mountain Ridge is the number 1 seed there. In 3A girls soccer in the Section 2 quarterfinals, 3rd seed North Hagerstown, and outside of Boonesboro, I'm not sure that there's a team that's hotter than the Hubs right now, hosting the 6th seed South Hagerstown on Thursday.
Yep, and their North is really scoring now, and that was a problem until about mid-season. They play a lot of 1-0 games. They were just having trouble scoring, same as last year. But now they've really got it going. They've got an offense. They're dynamic with Lexi Pate. They can do so much more than they could last year when they were a very good team, but still limited. They don't have those limitations now, and I think they're really ready to take on the top teams in Frederick, and there's 2 great ones over there.
I was going to say they'll have to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get them, that's for sure. You mentioned Pate, Allie Getz, kind of the 1-2 punch there, or the 1-1A punch for that team. And Maddie Foltz, the sophomore goalkeeper, has been outstanding too.
Yeah.
8 shutouts so far this season. So North really has it all going, and it seems like they're playing their best soccer at the right time of the year. 2nd seed Urbana will take on 7th seeded Frederick on Tuesday. So the winner of the North-South game gets the winner of that contest, and then Linganore awaits as Section 2's top seed potentially after that. So again, very difficult there. Magruder, the number 1 seed in Section 1, but it wouldn't seem that section is nearly as tough as Section 2. So
No.
the Section 2 winner, by all rights, seems like that's going to be your region winner.
Yeah, and they might knock each other or beat each other up so much maybe they won't be ready for that region final. But Urbana won the Frederick County Championships on Saturday night, beat Linganore, although they're still the 2nd seed. So North is going to have to go through both of those teams. If they had gotten a different seed, that wouldn't have been the case. But so that they're going to have to beat the best to get there.
Well, best of luck to all of our girls' teams as the playoffs get underway. Kevin and I just getting underway on soccer. We've got the boys to discuss in just a moment.
One, wanna be one. Number 1, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one. Number 1, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier martial arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick. You feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number 1. Wanna be number 1, kids? Have your parents call.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. Well, on with the soccer draws now and on to the boys. And Kevin, let's begin in 2A for the boys. And that would mean the Williamsport Wildcats, who have been a great story this year with Chris Downs coming back as coach. And it's been a terrific year. And if they had only beaten Fort Hill, they would be in a much better position here in this opening game than they are. They're still getting the same opponent, but having to go on the road.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, having to go up to Frostburg to play Mountain Ridge. It's kind of a nemesis for Williamsport. Chris Downs recalled some games that they've played in the past, and all of them heartbreaking losses, it seems like, in the playoffs. They're a tough team. They've lost their last 2 games. Mountain Ridge has coming into the playoffs. So, maybe they're not quite as tough, but they beat Williamsport earlier this year in a 2-1, and it's going to be a tough deal. A lot of fan support up there. They play a physical style, so Williamsport's got to really be ready to play this game.
Yeah, I think they will be. I mean, Williamsport has still won 2 of its last 3 and 5 of its last 7 regular season games. So that's a pretty good stretch coming down to the end. As you said, Mountain Ridge struggling a little bit down to the end, but this will be one that will be a tooth and nail battle. There's no question about that. Williamsport 10-4, certainly I would say the best team on the boys' side in the county.
Definitely.
But again, hopes really pinned on Williamsport getting past Mountain Ridge here to make some sort of inroads. Middletown is the section's #1 seed and likely opponent for the winner in the section championship match. So you got to get there first. But again, I think Williamsport, with the season they've had, they've got a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and they'll get Trevor Canode back, sophomore striker, injured his collarbone, I think in the first game of the season in the county tournament. And he got back, played a little bit against Fort Hill last week, their regular season final. And he's going to be up and running. And they've run a lot of kids up front to try to find an answer. And this may be it.
Well, good time to get him back. There's no
Yeah.
question. South Carroll, the top seed on the other side of that bracket in the Section 1 semis there for the boys. 3A Section 2 quarterfinal action. 4th-seeded South Hagerstown at 4-8-2 will host the 5-seed Thomas Johnson at 5-8-1. That game is on Thursday. Both teams are more than capable of playing better than their respective records, though.
Yeah, and this is a region where they can win a few games. Of the 6 teams, of the 6 teams in the region, only one has a winning record, and that team is not a dominant team. Frederick 8-4-1. So if you get on a roll, you can dream big in this region, because there's games to be won out there.
And if you get through the region, anything can happen from there. And again, you're building confidence and momentum as you go. The winner will get top-seeded Frederick for a Section 2 semi next Tuesday. 6th-seeded North Hagerstown in another quarterfinal there, just 3-10-1 overall, will be at the 3rd-seed Tuscarora on Friday. The Hubs dropped a 7-0 decision to the Titans way back on September 10th, so there's a lot that they're going to have to bounce back from there. But again, you start 0-0 here in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the Hubs are coming off a really big win against South. Monday night they beat them 2-0. Probably their best game of the year. So they're going to have some confidence going into this game. And they felt like with what they've had this year that they haven't gotten as much out of the season as they could have. They feel like they're a better team than they've showed so far, wins and losses wise. And they do have some pretty good parts. And blending those guys together, this may be the right time for that to happen.
And the winner of that one earns a trip to 2nd-seeded Linganore next Tuesday. Urbana at 13-1 is the top seed in Section 1. Over in 1A West, Section 2 semifinal action there, 2nd-seed Clear Spring at 7-6-1 will host number 3 Boonesboro at 5-6-2. That's next Tuesday. The teams split their 2 matches in late September, with Clear Spring prevailing 1-0 in the county tournament. Boonesboro turning the tables 5 days later, 4-1. But I expect this one to be a much tighter contest. And as we talked back when it was county tournament time, great battle of goalkeepers here in Ian Hose versus Jarrett Rickards.
Yeah, and Jarrett Rickards, he's a really good one, and Ian Hose as well. But the difference here, Clear Spring has Jarrett Lazich back, top scorer in the county last year, and he's really starting to play well lately, coming off the back injury that knocked him out for the first month of this season. He's been a difference maker for Clear Spring. Clear Spring still has been way up and down all year, even with him playing well. So it's hard to know what to expect of them. They're a team that could go on a roll and do some damage, though, in the playoffs.
They haven't even played since October 17th, so they may be a little slow out of the blocks in that one. The winner will take on the winner of 4th-seeded Smithsburg and the top seed Brunswick, the defending 1A state champions in Brunswick.
Yeah, Dominic Cardone, the Smithsburg coach, said they played Brunswick last Saturday, lost 6-0, and he said Brunswick really disciplined, really knows what they're doing. It's going to be tough for Smithsburg to overcome that team, losing by that much and so recently. So that's going to be a tough one. Brunswick is the defending state champion, and they're defending champs for a reason. They play in a really tough conference, so ignore their record. They're 8-6 coming into the playoffs, but a lot of that is playing superior competition in Frederick County.
Well, we'll find out if Smithsburg can somehow turn it around and pull the upset. Section 1's top seed there is Allegheny. Well, that's a look at soccer and everything we've got to look forward to there. Next week, we'll have some soccer results for you, as well as results from the county cross-country meet and our county golfers at states, too, plus the state volleyball tournament draw to talk about. And Week 9's football It's a great time of year. I mean, we got a billion things going on, and we've got them all covered for you. Thanks for watching this week. Thanks for being here, Kevin.
Wes.
I will see you guys next week, right back here on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.